Okay, now we'll look at section 2. First, we walk through the basics of the bulk interface. So one of the students in my lab wrote this bulk interface in order to make it easier to interact with the various parameter settings. So you've also seen interfaces in F4.7 looking at CCDC and F4.5 in Landtrender, and also in the applications sections, which we will also create videos for. You can also see some interfaces there as well. So what we'll do today is now show you the third interface in the book, and it is this Bayesian updating of land cover. So we're going to use this GUI and go to F48B. So if I move to F48B, that brings me to, here we'll go down. So F48B is not code that you can run exactly, but it gives you the ability to run code by giving you a link to a graphical user interface script. So if you take this code and paste it into a browser, it will bring up the code that my student wrote, all many thousands of lines, I believe, if I remember right, all 7,000 lines of code for the interface. And then to get it to run and look like the bulk interface that you saw maybe briefly on the previous screen, you then click the run button. The run button then creates those graphical structures, I guess, and this is how it looks. So there's this input panel here on the left. Here is a map window. We're making room to show some other views of the results here, and then some settings that we'll have. So there are these 4 panels of parameters. The main map, what you think of up to this point, typically as the map, and now a place where we'll put some results and where we'll control some of those results too. So we will now go in Chrome onto the into the book and look through here. So here it says set the item to manual, set this to image collection, and then grab this part. This is that that image collection that I showed you quickly, and paste it by going here, image collection, and paste it in. I'll hit tab so that it gets taken. Here you can see there's a choice to remap images. We'll do that later. And now where it says number of classes in the events and the number of classes to track, we'll set that to 3. All right, so I'll go back here, set, not to 1, but to 3. Set this one also to 3. Then it asks, well, what's the study area that you want to use? If we wanted to take that large, maybe a large image collection and actually just do a small part of that study area, we would have the ability to put in like a polygon specification, or we can just say event geometry, which grabs that set of events. So that's what we'll choose for here. And to do that, we'll say event geometry. Now, these other choices are useful in an advanced setting, but not so important for now. What I want to do is to grab the 3 levelers. So as I go get those numbers, they are down a little ways here. So I'll mention a little bit about what they are. So the initialization leveler says, well, you're going to start with a beginning land cover guess. How committed do you want to be to this guess? How confident are you of the guess? So if you set that to 99%, then the evidence that we bring in with the events, it will be more likely to kind of stay with what you initialize it to be. If you say that you give it an initial map and you say, I'm only 10% confident in this map, feel free to change it based on evidence. you would set the initialization leveler to be low. The transition leveler and the posterior leveler are the only two other dials in this program. And what they represent is how strongly do you want to consider every new piece of evidence. So we're going to set them to 65, 30, or 0.65, 0.3, and 0.6. All right, so I'll do that here. We have these sliders available. 0.65, 0.3, and 0.6. And then we're going to give it some colors for the palette. We can allow it to select its own palettes. That's no problem. But here you can see here tucked away in this paragraph are the specifications for the palette. We'll do it as green and blue and yellow. That's what we saw in the when we looked at the events a few minutes ago. And so we'll put that in here, paste that in. I'll hit tab so that that's all taken. All these parts are here. And so then we're ready. There are then below that, there are some, the ability to optionally select to save some of the intermediate results or to export some of the results. In this case, just to view it, we don't need to do that. So I'll push apply parameters. And what that does is it takes, packages up the parameters that we've set and then does a run. So what is that run? Let's see, we can move this a little bit out of the way and go to see what the values are. So here we can see a series for the events. What's being shown is the final bulk classification of that whole area at the end of 2020. You know, once we have gone through the individual images that you saw in time order. We'll also, in the later part of the lab, look at the probability hillshade and the final probability of this, our confidence in this area. So let's go back to the text and show, okay, we've done that part. And now we have gone through the map and we have the ability over on the right to make a movie like that UI thumbnail using the UI thumbnail that we saw, or some other choices. You can do a film strip and a mosaic or zooming in. And so that gives us the ability to look around a little bit. So we'll do that for just a minute. So I will click on the on bulk. I'll go to the movie. I'll make a frame rate of 5, set the resolution to be medium. It takes a little longer to draw the highest resolution ones that we can do, but we give that as an option for people. Then it makes a thumbnail of the same area running with 5 images per second. So somewhere in between the 1 and the 10 that we had before. And the thing that's really neat is that if you want, you can zoom into a particular area and then hit Redraw Thumbnail. And what that does is then grabs the new boundaries for this and creates a thumbnail with those new boundaries, or at least close to those new boundaries. So we'll then look at that. And so that allows us to see with a little more, in more detail, we can see the flow of the classifications coming through and with some errors in the events. But over here on the right, what you see is the final classification, or really all of the classifications throughout the whole entire time period. It shows the best estimate of what the value is for each pixel, for each class, up to that point in time as those images are being processed. And so that is what we can do with bulk in its most basic form.